For once, YouTube gets censorship right. One of my Rebel News reports was recently stifled by the big tech giant due to it going against YouTube's nudity and sexual content policy, causing it to be restricted for anyone under the age of 18. But here's the sick irony. The only reason the sexually explicit content was within my report is because it's also found within your kids' schools. I'm Drea Humphrey with Rebel News, bringing you the other side of the story. Here is the warning we got from YouTube regarding an interview I did with former Chilliwack school trustee and parental rights advocate Heather Moss just after she had won her seat in the legislature as a BC Conservative MLA. YouTube claimed that this timestamp of the video, where we show an image of a school literature book, was unsuitable for minors, which I agree. But before I talk a little bit more about how concerning it is that what YouTube considers to be sexually inappropriate for our kids is A-OK from our kids' education system, I want to show you something else. It's the Government of Canada's examples for what a child groomer is. It correctly defines a child groomer as someone who builds trust with children and sometimes the adults around them in order to gain access to control the child by normalizing certain behaviors and expectations. A few of the ways that even oh-so-progressive Canada says that can happen is by the groomer promising a better life for the child or a loving relationship, and even offering gifts and other incentives. Now, that's not anything like Canadian teachers presenting drag queen story times to kindergartners so that they can become little queer allies, or cloaking themselves in rainbow colors to encourage children to experience the love is love festivities, while students' math and literacy levels continues to tank because who needs academics when you can make rainbow crafts, eat free pizza, and experience a sense of what your teachers keep telling you is inclusivity, right? Canada also says that another child grooming tactic is to cause division between kids and their parents by saying things like, your parents are too strict, or your parents just don't understand you. Which again bears absolutely no resemblance to Canadian teachers berating students for spending Pride Worship Week at home with their families, or the teachers caught on secret audios saying this.
On Thursday's workshop, you guys are going to be learning about trans identity. So it's the Trans 101. And the Get Real movement is great because they have people that identify within these identities, and they speak to students, sharing their own either transitioning stories or coming out stories. We do conversation, right? People like our parents or our grandparents, they may not be as informed about these topics as people like us, who are now having the conversations in grade 7.
But let's get back to the sexually explicit books. In our kids' school libraries, thanks to sexual gender identity programs such as Western Canada's SOGI 123, classifying them as SOGI inclusive resources. Are the educators, political leaders, and even state media normalizing them, drawing any parallels to the child grooming practices that Canada also describes as normalizing sexual behaviors by showing children sexual images or videos? Like this book, Let's Talk About It, which among other shocking content encourages your child to believe it's safe to search up kink online and connect with others in that same world, despite child online sextortion at an all-time high right now. Or that pornography is also great for them as long as they consume it right, and that they should look for advice from their favorite porn performers instead of you. Or images within the one SOGI-approved book called Gender Queer. Here we have kids celebrating how exciting it is to watch a gender-confused girl inject herself with testosterone that will likely cause her to be sterile and have health issues for life. Siblings are here engaging in an incest-friendly conversation about tasting themselves on this page. And here we see a child fantasizing about a very naked man doing a sexual act on a very naked boy. Now, even though your kids can access these books at some Canadian school libraries with zero filter on what they see inside of them, you'll notice that we've made sure to blur out some of the explicit acts themselves, which is something we usually do. But when we missed a page from Gender Queer during my report with Heather Moss about how she and the BC Conservatives want Soji gone, that's when YouTube restricted the report. And it's not just YouTube who does this. I've been censored on Facebook and X for sharing these disturbing child-centered images to raise awareness. Even our elected officials aren't safe from it. Even BC Conservative MLA Eleanor Storko was censored on Facebook for raising awareness about the books. It's no wonder then that some states in the US have banned books like Gender Queer.
Not every LGBTQ story is like mine. I get to see what other people experience.
The book is one of two the district is no longer allowing in its libraries. The other is This Book is Gay.
But oh no, not in Canada. Do any of you recall when Conservative MLA Bruce Banman read from one of the inappropriate books in the legislature, and what the former Minister of Education, Rajna Singh, called the books in response?
Mr. Speaker, I would ask that the House brace themselves for the following words from one such book called Eleanor Park, and I quote, "I know you're a slut, you smell like cum, nothing but a bitch and heat." End quote.
Member, please do not use that kind of language.
I apologize, Mr. Speaker. Will this NDP Premier please answer to concerned parents, grandparents, and families in Abbotsford and throughout this province, why is the sexually explicit book Eleanor and Park and others like it available in British Columbia public schools for children as young as 11 years of age?
I just want to say, not just as a Minister of Education, but also as a parent, that our schools are places which are, we want to make it, they are spaces which are safe, inclusive, and welcoming for all students. And the teachers are using resources that are age-appropriate, audience-appropriate, to give those values, give those teachings that are so important to create those welcoming environments.
Safe and inclusive, or child grooming. Thankfully, after a heavy anti-Soji campaign against Rajna Singh, her safe and inclusive excuses didn't help her win the seat. She's out. But let's be honest. Do we really think constituents can expect any better from Pitt Meadows, Maple Ridge, NDP, MLA, and Minister of Education Lisa Baer? Can we? Of course, I reached out to her. I didn't get a response back from her. In particular, I wanted to know how on earth she would respond to the fact that social media platforms like YouTube and Facebook seem to know that these books are sexually inappropriate for the kids, but our education system does not. And I don't know what the silence means, you can tell me, but under the leadership of David Eby, the drag queen for kids loving Premier of British Columbia,
to make sure that you can be who you are and you can love who you love without fear. To everyone in BC, we need to stand up together against hate. And to those people out there who are promoting that hate, the adults targeting vulnerable kids, politicians promoting hate, shame on you. We're better than that in this province. And all of us are going to stand up against it.
I don't know if this fight is anywhere near over. Drea Humphrey for Rebel News. As you can see at Rebel News, we don't back down from bringing you the other side of the story, and that includes the sexual indoctrination of kids happening in schools. We actually have a way for you to take action and support our journalism exposing this issue at our special website called stopclassroomgrooming.com.